So how do you start to say, no, I want to follow these things, these trajectories, these orbits of things that are interesting to me? But those are coming from me. They're not coming, I mean, yes, you're going to take a class and it takes you on a serendipitous route. You meet somebody and that takes you on a different route. But you're generally grounded in some things you're interested in, not settled on. So how do you help people think about those things, right? And yes, mentors can help bring that out, but a mentor, as you know, isn't going to fill an empty vessel. The best mentoring is, I got questions. How do I do what you're doing? How do I get down this path? That's where a mentor adds value. A mentor doesn't say, I don't know what to do, well, tell me. That is not mentoring, that is just that's a waste of time, both on the mentor and mentee. I mean, the key question is, to a mentee who's looking for a mentor, is are you mentorable? Are you ready to be mentored? You know, the Buddha's saying is, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. You're not ready, no teacher's going to appear. Student readiness before teacher appears. It's always that way. So student readiness, mentor readiness, mentee readiness is the key thing, right? And those are just asking questions. It's not answers, because everybody's got certain answers now. I knew the importance of getting guidance and relying on others for help. I knew that. I knew that I had to learn a lot of different things. You know, my father, when I was 14 and a half years old, I remember like it was yesterday, my father, was a man of very few words, but said to me, got very upset with me because he wanted me to be a public person. That's what he kept saying. He says he struggled. He had a very successful career, but he struggled to be more successful because he wasn't what he called a public person. A public person was someone who's going to connect in the community, someone that would be a good speaker, someone that would help others. He wasn't able to do those things because he had a lot of challenges with his own ability to communicate. So that was, and I'm giving a lot of eloquence right now, but that's one thing he literally hammered into the children in my family and said, you gotta be public people. And I interpreted that, because it took a lot of interpretation, that I needed to not just become successfs,ful but I needed to connect. And that notion of mentoring came much later because, frankly, I worked in maximum security institutions and I saw what happened to kids, and I wanted to help kids, and I became a big brother when I was in graduate school to save a little brother because I was doing very well, and I thought mentoring was saving somebody else. That's what I thought mentoring was. I had no idea what it was. And I was matched with a 7.5-year-old young man named Kerry, and father of this boy, and who was a great kid. And I was going to help him because he had a bad life, and I had a good life, and I was going to share my life with him. I was very generous. But I didn't realize how arrogant that was and how wrong that was. And when I didn't have children, I wasn't married. I would meet with Kerry every week because I was required to meet every week for 4 hours. And then Kerry started asking me questions. And questions, I had no idea what the answers were. Questions about life and the future, why things were that way. And I would make up crap about things just to shut him up because he was asking these irritating questions. He literally, one day, we were driving on the Glendale Freeway, I remember this. We were going to have pizza and go bowling or something, typical Big Brothers. And the radio was on, and Kerry was 9 or 10. And he said, John. And we had a good, trusting relationship. And he would ask me stuff. Daddy would normally ask his dad or somebody else. And I wasn't his dad. I didn't want to be his dad. And he said, believe in God? I said, yeah, I believe in God. Driving, I'm just talking to him. Because, you think there is a God? Yeah, there's a God. And he goes, well, how do you know? I said, I know. I'm not taking it seriously. I'm answering him seriously, but I'm not taking it seriously. And he said, well, let me ask you a question. If everybody stopped believing in God at the exact same time, would God exist? And that question, when I hear it, saying it to myself right now, and a 10-year-old kid just saying it off the top of his head because he has no filters, I literally pulled off the freeway. Because I knew this was an important moment, not for him, for me, because I don't know how I was going to answer that question. And so we just pulled off the freeway, and we had like a half an hour conversation about faith and God. You know, and so I said, so at that moment, I don't know what year that was 82 or 83 or whatever, I said, I have no idea what mentoring is, because I'm not helping this kid. All I know is he's helping me. And that's not the way I thought it was going to work. And I could tell you a million other stories like that that carry Estrada pointing me in the right direction. So, the really sort of simple, almost comic book understanding of a guru, like you climb the mountain and you're going to find out the answers to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But it's because you're going to find this amazing person who's going to reveal the truths to you, who's going to open your heart to the eternal truths. It just doesn't happen that way, right? So the preparation of the mentee, meaning the quality of his or her questions, with a deep understanding that they have about themselves, makes that mentoring relationship very powerful and productive. So when we talk about the Buddhist saying, the philosophy that, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, that's what I call being mentorable. So mentor ready, if you will. And that means that you've done a little bit of homework and thinking and writing, by the way, about what you want, who you are, and not coming to any amazing conclusions. If you do, fantastic, but really a lot better questions. Then the mentor can be very helpful. But to say, I don't know what I want to do with my life, I have no real interest, I have no passions, I don't really care about anything. Nobody can help that person, by the way. That person needs to go meditate, get slapped in the head, something needs to happen to them that awakens them inside, right? And you can be a teenager, or you can be 57 years old and not have that awakening yet. Most great mentoring doesn't have the M word in it, meaning you're my mentor, I'm your mentee. They don't say that. First of all, what is the qualities of a good mentor? The best quality of a mentor is, or somebody that's giving you mentoring, is somebody that's going to give you the truth. Somebody who's going to hold up a mirror to you and say, this is what I see and what I hear. And this is what I see and what I hear. So, mentoring is really about the reality check. So anybody can give you the truth, you hear the truth, you sense that this person's giving me the truth, that is mentoring you're getting. Mentoring moments happen whether it's an official mentor or an unofficial mentor. It might happen in the hallway, it might happen in a casual experience. You can be mentored. As long as you're open to it, people can speak the truth to you in that moment. Doesn't mean you have to have a long-term relationship with them where you meet every Wednesday at 2 p.m. That becomes too rote, too predictable. Mentoring happens to you all the time. People are telling you things, trying to give you feedback. Do you seek that feedback? Who gives you the best feedback? How can you get more of that feedback? But does it turn into a 10-year relationship? Maybe not. It also isn't necessarily an older, wiser person. If you're getting authentic feedback, reality check, and truth-telling, it could come from somebody that's younger than you, different from you, who sees something, who doesn't have filters, who says, you know what, if I was you, I would do this. He said, you don't know, you're younger than me. You're not open to mentoring. Because that feedback is going to come from all different sides of your life, and you have to identify that. So mentoring, to me, is not an official program. It's a lifestyle. It's an openness and willingness to accept and give authentic feedback. And once you get into that, people ask me why I teach these courses or why I do these workshops. I wish I just did it because I'm just a generous guy. I'm grabbing their energy and their thoughts and they're changing my whole trajectory and my spin and where I'm going by doing that. I do it, I have just as much reason to do it versus me sharing my lovely ideas. So as long as you get into that mutuality, so you can seek somebody to go, wow, that woman, I'm a young woman, and that woman has been successful, and from what I can tell, she's living a life that I want to lead. She could be a mentor. How do I seek her mentoring? How do I get a lot of that mentoring? How much time can I get from her? Maybe I just follow her. Maybe I'm just reading what she's writing. Maybe I'm just interested in her career. I don't necessarily have to have personal one-on-one time with her every week to have a mentor. She's a mentor by leading by example. And people, that's a mentoring thing. I want to be like, that's the kind of way I want to structure my life. The way she's balanced it with her family. The way she comports herself. I get mentored by that, you know. So there's so much emphasis put on this personal, intimate, regulated, scheduled time, and we need to have a much broader view of mentoring. The one thing I thought from a mentoring standpoint, or even a relationship standpoint, I really, at a very young age, I started looking up. I started looking up at people who I thought were important or could teach me things. And I really felt that it was going to come from these successes at these higher levels. Executives, people that have achieved certain things, and titles and status in the world. And I think as every young person does, we do look that way. And whether it's sort of the rank of, in a military hierarchical way or celebrity or whatever it was, I looked up. And what I've learned, again, another harsh mentoring lesson for me, was that your mentoring and networking has to be a 360 experience. And once you say that people at this level, laterally, like me, or people, whatever this means, below me, in experience and in importance, they have nothing to teach me, they will never mentor me, you've lost your mind. You've not only lost your mind, but you've lost the ability to be influenced in very profound ways. That these people here and these people down here are powerful, are experienced, are connected, so I'll just tell you one stupid example of this. The receptionist. I was a young executive. I would say hello to the receptionist. I tried to be kind, but they were irrelevant, and frankly, I was probably rude to them. And the harsh reality came when I found out that the receptionist at this company that I was at all the time was the niece of the chairman of the board of that company. And when she told the chairman of the board about me, and I wasn't a nice guy. And this came back to bite me in the ass. And I realized I don't know who I'm talking to. I've made decisions about the sea of humanity, and who am I to make these decisions without regard to the political consequences that I wasn't expecting? So, for example, Agnes Hess, who's in our lobby right now, has veto power over any candidates that come to an interview at CCF with no verbal discussion. It's only a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If they treat Agnes Hess poorly, or she doesn't like them, they are no longer a candidate to work at CCF. Why do I do that? Well, one, because I've learned that in my own horrible foibles of my life, that the receptionist actually is a very important position. Two, is she's very receptive. If anybody treats her differently than they're going to treat me, I don't want to be around those people. So what I've learned is that, yes, everybody, you earn certain title and stature, whatever in the community. Once you look only up and you don't look sideways and down and around you and understand the value of that community that you're around, and that you could learn something from that and be humbled by it in a drop of a hat, you don't understand mentoring and you don't understand relationship development. And I'll tell you one last story. I was with my assistant. I had 150 employees in this one organization. I had 4 assistants. And I had an assistant in another office who I didn't see very often, who was 64 years old. And frankly, out of touch with the realities that I was facing as a young executive. And we were pouring coffee for each other at the coffee pot. And her name was Becky. And I said, Becky, what did you do this weekend? And just to start a conversation with this person that frankly I didn't regard very highly. Just that was my view. And she goes, oh, I went to the Academy Awards this weekend. And I said, you mean you went to an Academy Awards party? She goes, no, I went to the ceremony. I had really great seats. It was fantastic. It's really neat to see the ceremony in person. And I said, how did you go to the Academy Awards? Oh, well, you know my brother. And her name was a different last name than this man. And I said, who's your brother? And she says, my brother is the chairman of the Board of Supervisors of Edelman County. His name is Ed Edelman. Ed Edelman is your brother? I was in charge in my job of government relations and community relations for Los Angeles. Having the sister of Ed Edelman was a meaningful thing to know. And she goes, no, Ed's my brother, and he invites me every year to the Academy Awards because he gets to go. And I said, when did Ed become your brother? Because I was just so stupid. She said, 64 years ago, John. And I said, when do you see, so anyway, I realized in many of these moments that I've had during my life of how stupid I've been about not understanding the people that I'm working with, who I know, who I'm connected to, and who are part of the world of power and influence that I've underestimated.